All right, bloggers, podcasters, creators, I know you create a lot of content, and sometimes it can take a little while to produce said content. So in this video, I'm actually going to walk you through what I think I'm actually really good at. I'm really good at doing things very quickly. Spoiler alert, it's actually kind of driven out of laziness because I don't actually like working all that much. But I have learned over the years how to produce blog posts, sales page copy, YouTube videos, podcasts extremely quickly. And in this video, I want to walk you through 5 or 6 tips to save time in your content. So head on over here and let's get started. Number 1, set up your workstation or shift your mindset. Set up or shift. What I mean by this is you can actually see this microphone right there that I'm using. I leave this up all the time for my YouTube content, as well as this light back here. It's there. It's kind of annoying to look at from my perspective, but it's always there, ready to record, as is this camera that you're looking at right now. Same thing for your blog. If you do writing, find your little setup. You blog in this part of the house, you do it in this coffee shop, or whatever. Just make sure that you're not spending a whole lot of time setting up to actually create. Podcast, YouTube, blogging, doesn't matter. Make sure you're not spending an extraordinary amount of time setting up before you even start creating, right? I'm looking at this whole time-saving thing as a start to finish process. From the time you think you're going to sit down and work to you're literally done, not just the actual writing part. The other part of this, by the way, is shift, as in shift your mindset. Sometimes we think we need a fancy pants setup. We need to be sitting in this exact position in this exact coffee shop with this exact latte in order to be productive, when that's actually just not true. In fact, I have some books over here. No, I don't, actually, because I'm about to move. I usually point back there, but I won't right now. The point is, I've read books that tell you to sit down and do the work. Doesn't actually need to be perfect, and you need to get over that little shift in your mind right now. You can be productive, you can produce, you can create your content from anywhere under any circumstances. But going back to my tip, if you can leave stuff set up, if you do video or audio, or even like getting your computer and the right software tools open or whatever that is, then do it. Tip number 2 over here, I want to talk about the blank page. And it's bad. It's bad. Never start from you can't see that at all, can you? Never start from a blank page. It's literally just blank, and then it says equals bad. Start from templates or frameworks. I'm going to go ahead and plug 1 hour blog post. It's multiple templates I have to help you produce content quicker. I just made a new one, like a 1-pager. I actually made this one because I heard from several people that they printed it out and they just leave it up. And whenever they produce content, they just look over there and like, okay, here's what I'm doing, boom. Next step, boom. Next step, boom. Even though that's not how I use 1 hour blog posts at all. I don't print it out. But the point is, never start from a blank page. Never. In fact, the next step is actually going to talk about outlining. But really, if you have templates that will help you create content faster, 1 hour blog post is just one example of that helps people get clear on what they're doing, what they're writing, and what they're creating, so that when they sit in front of a computer, they can do it way faster, then do it. Now, you can also use formulas as a starting point. I'm not saying you should actually produce that content, publish that content, but using formulas for your headlines, using formulas for your intros, for your outros. I even have one I use. It's called the Choose Any Two. The Panera Bread formula. Whenever you walk into Panera Bread and you're looking at their menu on the wall, it's like choose any 2. Soup and salad, right? Soup and sandwich. That's what I do. You can do that with your outros. Choose 2 things. And there's a bunch of things you can do. Follow me on blah, blah, blah. Share this post. Read this other resource. Drop me a comment. Just choose 2 of them and then hit it right there in every blog post. That's just an example. You don't have to do that exact thing. But the point is, never start from a blank page. Use formulas. Use templates. Use 1 hour blog posts. Use outlining, which is step number 3. Let's go ahead and jump to that. I swear, even people who don't outline, I think should outline, not just for the sake of outlining, to have something to go off when you create, but to do your research. The process of outlining is very valuable, and you might think that it'll take you more time producing a piece of content to do your research or outline your content or whatever, but I'm here to tell you it'll probably actually save time over the long run, right? Again, I'm going start to finish from the time you have an idea or you sit down to start work till the time you're actually done. Outlining, for me and almost everybody I know, saves time. And here's one more way it saves time. Let me come back over here. I'm moving around a lot for a very specific reason, which I'll share with you in just a second. I don't even remember what I was going to say now. Outlining. Oh, yeah. Sharing later on. Whether you do Instagram stories, Instagram lives, you're going to repurpose your content for YouTube or podcasts or whatever. Having that outline that you made, you already produced a blog post, but having the outline can help give you some subtopics to use in your content promotion on social media or content repurposing or whatever. Just having this available that you can refer back to, like this is my outline for this video, by the way, it can make social media content so much easier. Really, oh yeah, I'm going to talk about this one bullet point and this next one and this next one, and that's going to be 4 tweets. Or like I'm going to do 2 different pins for Pinterest using this subtopic and this subtopic, using your outline. It's a document you can refer back to even after you hit publish. And besides that, it helps you get clear on the content you are producing. Which, by the way, so a week or 2 ago, I actually published on Twitter what takes the most time in your content. And there was only like 5 or 6 responses to this tweet, but almost everybody said editing. Editing was what took them the most time. That's where they spent the most time. And some people like editing, some people don't. My entire editing philosophy is this. I want to edit less. What are some of the things I can do to edit less? We'll come back and talk about this in a second. But one thing for me is outlining. When I outline content, it generally results in better first drafts, which result in less time editing. Whenever I outline, it results in better first drafts, which results in just less editing in general. All right, so I already got outlining over here. This next 2 are gonna be a little weird and, again, contradictive. Use modern tools. If you compose all of your stuff in Google Docs, which I don't suggest anybody do, but some people do that. Some people write in Google Docs. There are tools out there that will transfer your content from Google Docs into WordPress if you publish on WordPress. Wordable is one of them. I have a review video on it. You can go check that out. I don't use this. I don't actually recommend most people use it. But for those who need it, Wordable is a great solution to save a bunch of time just transferring that content. Now, if you're into podcasting and you've taken any of my podcasting content, PodCourse or whatever, you know that I harp on using modern tools for podcast content. Auphonic, Fix My Levels, the Isotope plugins that can make things like one click, because editing audio content can take a bunch of time, but these tools make it far easier. My point is, be on the lookout for different softwares and tools you can use to save time. I know this is very generic advice. I can't just give you one tool because I don't know what your content looks like. But if you're doing Pinterest marketing and you're not on Tailwind, you're probably doing yourself a disservice. I know that's preaching to the choir here. You guys are probably already on Tailwind. But the point is, use the tools. Go and look for them to save time. That time you spend looking for tools that'll help you with internal linking, like Link Whisperer. Link Whisperer is not the best tool ever, but for those who know how to use internal links for SEO, it can save you time. And why not buy it? It's like $37 or $50 or something one time. There's no recurring payments. Anyways, go and look for the tools. Now, the next little step I have here, it's going to seem lame. Also, don't go looking for the tools. Specifically in the actual creation phase, meaning not researching, not outlining, and not editing, but the actual, I'm going to sit down and write this blog post or whatever it is. Maybe just do it in WordPress. Or if you're already using Google Docs to compose your content, do it there. The point is, we get distracted in this phase. The tools are great for editing and publishing and marketing for sure. Go look for tools that'll save time. But when it comes to actually writing a blog post, a draft, or recording podcasts or YouTube, doesn't matter. Stick with what you know. Stick with what you know and can do. And by the way, if you compose blog posts in WordPress, that's just one less step you have to do. If you do it anywhere else using Bear Writer, which is what I've used in the past, not gonna lie, or Google Docs or whatever, that's one more step, transferring that content into WordPress, and then you have to format a little bit. And even if you're a pro at it, it still takes a little bit of time. If you can compose in WordPress, and that's where you publish, do that. Or if you already used to Google Docs, just do that and stick with it. If you're anything like me, you have a problem with this. Most of you hopefully listening to this be like, Pete, I don't have that problem at all. In which case I'm super jealous because I'm always searching for these tools to help me produce content faster. But anything in that creation phase generally does more harm than good. And I just need to stick to what I know. The other phases, marketing and editing, yes, we all need tools to help us with this. Actual creation, just do it in WordPress. Or just do it wherever you feel comfortable doing it. Now, the last bullet point I have is also going to make you mad. Edit less, man. Edit less. You see these sticky notes? Why am I using these sticky notes today for this YouTube video? If you haven't noticed already, this YouTube video is completely unedited, start to finish. I haven't touched it in an editor whatsoever, not even a little bit. And part of the reason I created these sticky notes was to give a little bit of something interesting so it wouldn't just be talking head Pete right here on camera. It's also why I've done this a few times. I'm just moving around. I'm keeping you engaged in the video a little bit. You might even be able to hear me touching my microphone up here or whatever. That's okay. Edit less. Now, if you were still watching this point in the video, I proved my point. Maybe, everybody who left before this, they may not get it. But my point is, I've kept you in this video long enough to get my point across here about editing less without editing. I produced this content and it has been successful for teaching you one or two things, I hope at least, without editing. So the point is, what can you do to set yourself up for less editing? I don't actually suggest no editing for almost anybody, but you might reach a point where you have to do some other things in the research phase or the outlining phase, or you can create sticky notes as a little fun thing to keep people engaged and keep the content that much better so I don't have to edit more. What can you do? Last thing here. This is going to be somewhat controversial. In 1 hour blog post, I talk about, I think I even have it up here. Yeah, be fast and sloppy, edit later. I don't know if you can see it at all. It's like way up there. It's really soft. But the point is, write the content. Use placeholders instead of images that you can come back to and edit later. You can come back to and format later. You can come back to and add images later, whatever. I like this advice, but if you hate editing, that is going to do your content a disservice. The reason is you're going to finish creating your piece of content and you're not going to want to go back and make it better. You're not going to want to go back and edit. If you are that person, edit as you go. Let me be the first one in the blogosphere to tell you it's okay to edit as you go. As you are literally writing your first draft, it's okay to edit right then and there, especially if you're the person who hates editing. The reason is, hopefully by the time you're done with your content, you don't have to go do that much more, and you don't want to do that anyway. So that will work. Let me be the person to tell you, edit as you go. If you hate editing, edit as you go. If you don't mind editing, then do what I say to do. 1 hour blog post, just pump out the first draft, get that done, and then you can go back and make it better. There's two different types of people there. The important part is that you figure out which one you are. All right, so thank you so much for hanging with me in this YouTube video. I hope you've learned something, despite the fact that I haven't done a lot of fancy pants editing. Hashtag YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. I always get to this point in the video and I'm like, do I really want to say that? Maybe I should just make a joke out of it. Like, comment, subscribe, or whatever. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. If you want to follow me over here, you can see what I'm about to do here. I'm going to shut down the video. I'm not editing this at all, so I'm just going to hit stop. Goodbye.